Oh, hello and good evening. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from a news hub at Adesawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Ocansey. Tonight, tragedy strikes at the Ghana Armed Forces recruitment exercise. 6 dead, several injured, and mounting calls for accountability as investigations begin. We have a comprehensive conversation on this matter. Quite unfortunate a development. Stay with us. It's a joint military police task force storms mining communities after attacks on anti-Galamsey officers. A fierce manhunt is underway to flush out culprits and kingpins. Stay with us for the conversation tonight. Also, as the finance minister readies to present the 2026 budget tomorrow, we'll give you a sneak peek at what key sectors are expecting, and then also some projections by Deloitte Ghana. Stay with us. We'll have a conversation. Yawa Pialate is going to be joining us as we go on. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Connect with us and let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
President John Dramani Mahama has confirmed that all 6 people who lost their lives during the ongoing Ghana Armed Forces recruitment exercise at Accra's Ewak Sports Stadium on Wednesday were female applicants. He made this revelation during the launch of the Nkoko Nketen in Kumasi.
Aho prepare ne adea sha se abra ye bie gate no se nipa enremu no. Ma nipa ni bebre de ahoden epia se omokom omanim etimi ewrem. Na arehosem ne se ebi ehwe ase emye tietia omoso enti make us say soldier mpanyimfo amaya so ate say yamma ensia omunyina eyamma bawa oma hwere omonkwa.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has emphasized the need for the nation to rethink its recruitment process. Addressing the media after visiting victims of the Ewak stampede at the 37 Military Hospital, the Speaker stressed the importance of putting in place measures to ensure such incidents do not recur.
We can rethink this whole process of recruitment and, in fact, enlistment and the whole system of how we employ people into the public sector to prevent future occurrences. That is why we are here. We really are sad, we are shocked, and we sympathize with everybody. It's a day that no Ghanaian will ever expect it to be repeated.
Acting Minister for Defense Dr. Kaseo Atuforsen has announced that a board of inquiry has been set up to investigate military recruitment stampede in Accra, which claimed 6 lives. Members of Parliament on Wednesday made a unanimous call for enhanced recruitment process as the House observed a moment of silence in the honor of the departed. The acting defense minister in his briefing to Parliament stated that 34 individuals were directly affected by the stampede, with some not even related to the enlistment or recruitment process.
We are working closely with the Ghana Armed Forces, medical teams and law enforcement agencies to provide full support to the injured and to investigate the circumstances that led to this tragedy. Mr. Speaker, as a result, the Ghana Armed Forces has instituted an internal board of inquiry to investigate the causes of this unfortunate incident.
The Accra High Court has granted an application to vary the bail terms of former Director General of the National Service Authority, Osei Esibe Entry, reducing the amount from 800 million cedis to 623 million cedis. Meanwhile, the Attorney General's office has served notice that 4 witnesses will be called on to testify against NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Wontumi in his illegal mining case at Samra Boy in the Western Region. As part of new passport reforms rolled out by the Foreign Affairs Ministry, persons who require passports within 24 hours due to essential reasons can have them processed at all passport offices across the country. Foreign Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa says new passport fees, which had been reduced from 500 cedis to 350 cedis, will take effect from Thursday, November 13, 2025.
There are some who may be thinking that because of the reduction in fees, the quality of the passports will reduce. No, it's the same quality, the same chip embedded passports. We are also not rolling back on the reforms. The passports will still be delivered to you without a fee. You don't have to pay the courier service providers. We are not going back to the old biometric passports. We are phasing that out. The same convenience, courier delivery.
Ahead of the 2026 budget presentation, the Trades Union Congress TUC is calling on the Finance Minister to spell out clear measures for job creation, especially for the youth. Deputy Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, Dr. Kwabna Nyako Otu, noted that job creation remains the most effective way to address the growing unemployment situation.
There are recruitments for teachers, for nurses, and today we have seen what happened at Airwork, where because of the huge unemployment we have on our hands, these guys unfortunately have to crash to their death. It's an indication that the unemployment challenge is huge and getting bigger by the day. So government must use the budget to attempt to address it.
There's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live also on 3FM 92.7 on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on YouTube. And it's always probably brought to you by Flamingo Paint, Simply Superior, Sasso Insecticide Spray and Qualcomm Tum Tum Precom. It's a sad day, and that's coming up next here on Ghana Tonight. Tragedy strikes at the Ghana Armed Forces recruitment exercise. 6 dead, several injured, and mounting calls for accountability as investigations begin. We have a comprehensive conversation on this matter. Quite a troubling development from what we observe. Now, we're just going to show you exactly how the issues have played out, just for the uninitiated, how it all happened. In fact, we received a video from one of our viewers as of midnight today, between 12 midnight today and 2 a.m. This was the period that this video was taken outside the Elwak Sports Stadium. As of 2 a.m. earlier today, some of the recruits, persons hoping to be recruited into the Ghana Armed Forces, have started queuing, and some of them actually slept outside of the Elwak Sports Stadium. They spent the night there, and also a number of them joined them earlier today. So this is a video from one of our viewers who took this video at 2 a.m. This is the outside of the Elwak Sports Stadium. You see a number of them seated, others lying on the floor. They spent the night awaiting the opening of the Elwak Sports Stadium at 7 a.m. today. This is what we got as of 2 a.m. Vehicles parked there, people sleeping in the vehicles, the bucket of pickups, all these young men and women. As of 2 a.m., this is the video we got. This is how the outskirts of the Elwak Sports Stadium looked like as of 2 a.m. today. A clear reflection of the desperation and the level of despondency that we've seen, especially when it comes to the anger that young people have expressed about the increasing and mounting unemployment rate. The desperation that got them to this point, and what we got to see, at least per this video from one of our viewers, that was at 2 a.m. at the outskirts of the Elwak Sports Stadium. So seeing this, there was a clear indication of what was going to happen during the day, because we also got information that others had already secured their spots in the queue, even though those who had to go early so as to be the early birds to get in there. But unfortunately, when the gates were opened, this is it. This is what happened during the day. Let's give you an idea of what happened earlier today, during the day, and unfortunately, what led to this stampede. You see some of the gate of Elwak Sports Stadium actually destroyed in the process. And this was after the stampede had happened, and the Ghana Armed Forces also tried to get all these recruits or these persons seeking to be recruited into the Ghana Armed Forces out of the Elwak Sports Stadium. Now, the acting defense minister, Dr. Kasiehl Atuforsen, has announced the formation of a board of inquiry to investigate exactly what happened with the military recruitment accident or the stampede earlier today that claimed 6 lives in Accra. In Parliament earlier today, the MPs unanimously called for reforms to improve the recruitment process and observed a moment of silence in honor of the 6 who have died. Now, this is just a fraction of the thousands or the hundreds who thronged the Elwak Sports Stadium hoping to be recruited into the Ghana Armed Forces. A clear concern. Let's take a listen to some members of Parliament and then also Dr. Kasiehl Atuforsen earlier today in Parliament as well. Take a look at Dr. Kasiehl Atuforsen earlier today.
We are working closely with the Ghana Armed Forces, medical teams, and law enforcement agencies to provide full support to the injured and to investigate the circumstances that led to this tragedy. Mr. Speaker, as a result, the Ghana Armed Forces has instituted an internal board of inquiry to investigate the causes of this unfortunate incident. This year's recruitment exercise is being conducted simultaneously across all regions. Indeed, it was a system designed to decentralize the process, reduce congestion, ensure transparency and fairness, as well as to ensure accessibility nationwide.
We must act immediately to resolve the risks associated with such recruitment process which have lingered too long a time. This is not merely a tragic accident. It is a profound and systemic failure and the indictment of a system that has lost its effectiveness.
It is a painful reminder of the risk and desperation that many of our young people face in search of opportunities to serve and contribute to the development of our nation. No one deserves to die in seeking an opportunity to serve the badge of this country.
I will support the call to hold the process, not just at Elwak, but the entire recruitment process, to really look at the exercise and give ourselves some time, Mr. Speaker, to find out what is happening so that the military can reform.
Why would this happen even when the process has been heavily decentralized to the extent that today, as we speak, across all the regional capitals, the same exercise is ongoing? I ask myself that question. Mr. Speaker, could it be that since 2021, the military did not advertise for recruitment, and that once the adverts were made this time around, a lot of the youth who are unemployed thought that this is an opportunity to at least put themselves up for recruitment?
Well, so that's James Agaga, the Honorable James Agaga, who ended that what we played with a number of the members of parliament agreeing that this is unacceptable, reforms have to take place. He talks about what, in terms of bringing all of these people together, to the extent that recruitment to the armed forces had not taken place, the mass recruitment had not taken place for quite a while now, this was expected. So could this have been envisaged and measures put in place to prevent this? These are questions we're going to ask, but the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana, Kingsford Bagbin, led some members of Parliament to visit some of the victims on admission at the 37 military hospital earlier today, and this is what he observed. Take a look.
Country, we can rethink this whole process of recruitment and, in fact, enlistment and the whole system of how we employ people into the public sector to prevent future occurrences. That is why we are here. We really are sad, we are shocked, and we sympathize with everybody. It's a day that no Ghanaian will ever expect it to be repeated. But we have to work together. It's not the responsibility of one person or one institution or a government. It's the responsibility of all of us. And so our focus will be how to work and prevent similar occasions in the future, but more importantly, how to salvage the lives of those who are injured now.
The clerk to Parliament, Ebenezer Ahuma-Jetro.
Well, so that's the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin earlier today. But bear in mind that this recruitment process was not taking place only in the Greater Accra region. We're going to show you what happened in some of the regions that we have videos of, okay? And then also we got information that in the Ashanti region, for instance, at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, a number of persons are also on admission, as a result of, some of these, the same situation of the crowd that thronged the area, all because of this recruitment process. So we're going to give you an idea of what happened in the regions, and then also the call for the reforms. Dr. Henry Ernest Nogbe is Member of Parliament for the Ashaiman constituency and a member of the Defense and Interior Committee of this 9th Parliament. He's joining us on the telephone right now. Dr. Nogbe, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Good evening to you and good evening to your viewers. Ocansey.
Taking into consideration the fact that, one, this was happening across the country. We've recorded a situation not on the scale of what happened in Accra, in the Ashanti region, at least. To the extent that there hadn't been mass recruitment into the armed forces for some time now, could this have been envisaged that we would have these large numbers and then maybe informed some measures to be put in place instead of they allowing them to mass up, and then what we've been used to, they would rush in when the gates are open? Could it have been envisaged?
Well, good evening once again to you, Ocansey. Yes, first of all, let me express and extend my sincere condolences to the Biri family, and also state that it's a great loss to them, to the family, and we are with them in prayers, and also to wish those who are injured at the hospital a speedy recovery. It's just an unfortunate incident that young men and women who wanted to serve this nation will go through this unfortunate calamity. Yes, I must admit that since 2021 till date, there have never been any advertisement, let me say, for the past 4 years. And so it is true that our young men and women who wanted to serve in the Ghana Army would have envisaged the numbers attending, because if you look at the number of people who applied, it's almost 60,000 people who have applied, and out of these 60,000, we have almost 30,000 qualifying for the next stage. So it is true that we would have been envisaging this number of people. But be that is me, since 2021, 2021, thereabout, there have not been any decentralized recruitment. And so probably we underestimated this particular one, or let me say the officers underestimated, the Ghana Army underestimated this particular one, and by limiting it to only the regions. You see, looking at the numbers, and for instance, Accra, Accra is the capital. And so many people would have wished to come to Accra for this recruitment process. And so I would have thought that this to be done around the Accra Sports Stadium, where we have the inner perimeter, where a potential recruit could be seated in the stands, and the officers in the inner perimeter calling them one after the other. But we know that the facility at the 37, the Elwak Sports Stadium, is the facility of the military. But I'm pretty sure that if they had put in an application to use that of the Accra Sports Stadium, that would have also been the best way, for this modus operandi. And so yes, I can admit that the numbers are set up, we have increased, and we underestimate the process. And also, let me also state that probably when you look at the whole scenario and you listen to eyewitnesses, you realize that the gate was also not open early enough for the recruit as well. And so they were all gathered in front of the gate before the gate was open. And so you can understand, you can envisage that as soon as a gate is open for people who are rushing to enter into the stadium, they will just fall in like that, and that would have caused the stampede. So basically, yes, I think we need a lot of reforms in this recruitment processes, as said by Mr. Speaker and some other stakeholders.
So you're right about the expectation that a number of people from across the country will come to Accra. It's indeed confirmed, because my colleague Joseph Armstrong spoke to some of the recruits who will play that shortly. Some of them indicated they came from as far as Techiman, some from Tamale to Accra. To even though the process was taking place in their regions, they also decided to come to Accra. So you're right about this. And this is not the first time we've seen this. So you admit that, yes, this could have been envisaged and measures put in place to mitigate this. What should be the thinking in terms of reforms after suspending the process?
Well, you see, we have should I say Department of the Ghana Army? We have the Navy, we have the Army, we have the Navy, we have the Air Force. This will teach us a lesson that probably we could have done this based on the application of each candidate. So we take Ghana Army first, we give them time, we finish with Ghana Army, we finish with the Army, then we move on to the Air Force, we move to the Air Force after doing all these things, then we move to the Navy, we stagger them just like that, and then attend to them. When we take that into consideration, probably the numbers that appeared this morning would have, but don't also forget that the number that appeared this morning were not only qualified potential recruits. The unqualified, the disqualified ones were also there thinking that they may have, access into the yard, or they may have any favors. And people also went there with their families. And so that has also added up to the numbers. So if you stagger it this way, Army, Air Force, Navy, given the specific period of time, we would have reduced the number. And also, now we have technology. So we could have even asked the recruit, take a picture of yourself. Full picture of yourself. Upload same into the system. We will use AI to check whether what you have put into the system is the same as a human being. So by so doing, so many people might have been disqualified even before the next stage. So whatever you would have, or the officers would have been engaging in, would be at the medical stage, where probably somebody has a crooked leg, somebody has a bow leg, whatever it is, that will be detected at those areas. So the modus operandi should be changed going forward, And there are a lot of things we need to put in place if we are going to continue with this process. If we want to maintain the status quo by crowding them at a stadium or a particular location for selection or body selection, etc., then probably we should have been doing it based by the application. So Army, Air Force, Navy, in that order. That would have also reduced the numbers.
I see. Now, thank you. Kindly stay with me, Dr. Ernest Nogbe, because we also have Dr. Nanaya Kwada, who is the Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety, also joining us on Zoom. We have also joining us on Zoom right now, private legal practitioner, Justice Abdullahi, also joining us to share your thoughts on this. But then again, before we come to you, gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Ernest Bojajemfi, who is the Deputy Defense Minister, earlier indicated, in fact, corroborated what Dr. Kasela Atufor, the Acting Defense Minister, put out earlier. He said that there were 34 casualties. He gave a breakdown, including potential recruits and other persons who are not directly related to the exercise. So, Dr. Ernest Nogbe, you're right. So, yes, some of them with their family members. The Deputy Defense Minister says there are some of these casualties who are not even directly related to the exercise. 6 persons have been confirmed dead. 5 are in critical condition. They are in ICU. 12 are fairly critical. The rest are stable and under observation. And Justice Abdullahi, thank you for joining us. You say that heads must roll as a result of this incident, which Dr. Ernest Nogbe admits, yes, it could have been envisaged because of this 4 years of almost 5 years of mass recruitment into the armed forces and the location that was used. You still hold that view?
As a country, we have not made any changes from the stone age of recruiting security members of our security forces. And to witness that patriots of this country in their prime ages have to lose their lives at such in such a time and under circumstances such as this, when all they wanted to do was to put their lives on the line to sacrifice for the protection of you and I, and they have to lose their lives simply because of the recklessness and the irresponsibility of the heads of our security agencies, particularly the Army, is very unfortunate. This is why I think that better measures could have been put in place. Better measures. And there are lots of measures that countries deploy in recruitment exercises. Amongst them includes, for instance, having smaller numbered units of people coming at a point in time, at every point in time, or segregating the numbers, having the most minimum numbers that can be dealt with in a particular day, always being invited. It's so easy to segregate and then administer the procedures. I remember my colleagues getting recruited in the British Army. It will amaze you how the treatment that they had to go through. Maximum of about 50 people were recruited in a given day. And guess the facilities that are afforded a potential recruit. Your ticket, your bus or train ticket are paid for by the state from wherever you are. Assuming you are in London and you are going to, let's say, Coventry or Birmingham for your recruitment, your bus ticket will be paid. You go and you have a hostel or a place that you are going to live. Assuming it's a 2-3 days recruitment exercise, you are provided with accommodation. You are provided with feeding throughout the period that you spend there. And you are provided with a ticket back to your origin. Within the UK. This is how civilized and humane, decent recruitment exercises are done elsewhere. And you wouldn't have more than 50 people at a time converging at the place. Are we so dumb? Is it so impossible to implement similar system? We don't even need to implement similar system because we probably don't have the resources to do that. But we can deploy mechanisms of having let's say 500 people in a day. I mean, I don't think that is impossible for us to do. 500, assuming 500 people were coming, relative to over 20,000 people that converged today. It's so difficult to appreciate the intelligence and the mindset that went into this. Because nobody, I mean, with all the training that our heads of security agencies have been through, could anticipate that having such huge numbers of people there could result in the kind of stampede that happened. And guess what? There were no medical logistics available on site. Obviously, if they were, they would still have been overrun because of the circumstances of the situation. So all you do is to ensure that you have the people coming in batches. Even if it's 1,000 a day,
right,
you know that you can adequately serve 1,000 people. You have a standby medical team to attend to.
And on that point, the questioning, what could have gone into the preparation, the Ghana Armed Forces put out a statement earlier today. They say they deeply regret to inform the general public of the tragic stampede prior to the commencement. As it goes on and on at the Elwak Sports Stadium, preliminary investigations indicate that the stampede was triggered by an unexpected surge of applicants who breached security protocols and rushed into the gates ahead of scheduled screening at about 6:20 a.m. The unfortunate incident led to the death of 6 potential recruits and many others injured. The injured are currently receiving emergency medical care at the 37 Military Hospital. Ghana Armed Forces assures the general public that medical teams are working tirelessly to stabilize affected individuals. Meanwhile, the arrangements are being made to notify the families of the deceased, and they extend their deepest condolences to the families of the deceased and wish a swift recovery to those injured. Justice Abdullah, I'm going to come to you, but Dr. Ernest Nogbe, you're still with me. Dr. Nana Akwada, just to bring you in on this point that the Ghana Armed Forces makes, okay? The first few lines, they say that this stampede was triggered by an unexpected surge of applicants. And I established with Dr. Ernest Nogbe, who is a member of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, that indeed, to the extent that almost 5 years there hadn't been mass recruitment to the Ghana Armed Forces, you don't need any data research or soothsayer to tell you that there was going to be an unexpected number of persons, huge numbers, applying. We understand 60,000 applied, 30,000 have qualified to go to the next stage. Can this explanation or this part of the statement by the Ghana Forces suffice that the stampede was triggered by an unexpected surge of applicants who breached the protocols? Now, if you can unmute for me, please.
Thank you, Alfred. Good evening to your viewers and good evening to the panel members. It's good to hear Abdullah, a very good friend of mine. Look, I wish to express our condolences to the families of the dead, and those who are injured would want to wish them speedy recovery. Look, Alfred, if I think earlier on this morning when I spoke to your station, we called for the process to halt immediately, for full-scale investigations to be instituted, and the report published for the consumption of the general public. Certainly, there have been failures in the mass recruitment processes instituted by the armed forces on this occasion. Mass recruitment is a very high-risk operation. When you are, first of all, people who are coming there to come and look for jobs, they are highly stressed, they are very anxious, and so I won't excuse the military that they did not anticipate this. If it was a musical show by Shatawali or any musician, they could be excused by saying that they did not anticipate such crowds. The military do not have that privilege, okay? The military are trained such that they are doing what we call situational appreciation by the minute. So we will not buy that kind of excuse. The truth remains that the whole process, the very little planning went in. The people who were supposed to ensure that risk assessments were conducted by the minute failed to do it. We understand that as early as 10 p.m. the previous night, the numbers started growing. The military failed in this regard. And I think that if I said the military, I'm using the military in context of the armed forces. They failed in this regard. And for us to have learnings from this incident, we will need to investigate this fully so that we'll be able to place, the learning stones at the appropriate places so that it does not recur. It's about time that we have in place a national policy or a national measure, something that should guide us whenever a lot of people are going to gather in one place. We do not have any such thing. The fact that paramedics were not on site when people were collapsing here and there shows a gap. The fact that probably the police were not on site, or if they were on site, they were not there in their numbers. So it was incumbent on the military to provide crowd marshals. My understanding is that these were not in place. So we have failed, and unfortunately we did not fail any group of people than the generations of tomorrow. As we speak today, 6 lives have been lost, 6 precious lives that were not going to rob, they were not going to a concert, but they were only going to look for the opportunity to serve Mother Ghana. And that is how serious we as a people should take it. And I'll tie in with the call by Abdullah, counsel, that, look, following the investigations, if it is established that there were gaps in place, gaps that we could have anticipated, there were lapses that we could have seen to address, and we failed to do so, then we must hold people accountable. We have made people get off the hook so many times in Ghana, and that's why some of these things happen, repetitively. If we begin to build a culture of accountability within our body politics, I believe that anybody on public payroll will begin to think about this work. They will begin to process the way they do their work, especially when it involves human beings. And I think that we have to come to that stage before we can see a semblance of discipline, a semblance of sanity in our, general spaces.
Well, Nana, I appreciate you for this. And Dr. Nogbe, are you there with us?
Yes.
Yes, and in a minute, where or which of the areas of focus should this investigation take? In a minute, this investigation that has been instituted into this stampede.
Well, yes, before I come there, you see, I just listened to what you read from the military, that there was a surge in the application.
Yeah,
yes, there could be unexpected surge in the application, but there couldn't be unexpected surge in the invitation. You understand? There couldn't be unexpected surge in the invitation. But be that is me, as the committee will be sitting to look into the matter, the focus should be the mode of recruitment. The mode of recruitment in the country, the processes, the application, the processes, and then the final stage of the recruitment. The whole process and procedure must be looked into, and then suggestions should be made for the military. Mr. Speaker also directed that the Defense and Interior Committee should look into this matter as well. So I'm pretty sure that we'll also be doing our bit And as and when we are also invited to appear before the committee to offer our suggestions, we may do so.
I see. Dr. Ernest Nogbe, thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Ernest Henry Nogbe is Member of Parliament for the Ashaiman constituency, also a member of the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament. They also have a keen interest in how things are playing out. This recruitment exercise happened across the country. In the Ashanti region, I'm going to show you this video. This is what happened at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, where we understand that some persons also sustained some injuries as well during a situation of the crowd that thronged the stadium for the same military recruitment screening exercise held at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. So this is what happened. These are the scenes from the Baba Yara Sports Stadium as well. A clear reflection of the numbers. And you hear Dr. Ernest Nogbe talk about the numbers, okay? That if the military says that the stampede was triggered by an unexpected surge, obviously these persons were invited for the exercise. So if it was an unexpected surge, there was no unexpected invitation because they were invited to be there. 60,000 up and then 30,000 now that are qualified for the next stage. That's what we do now. And for the Upper East region as well, we'll show you a video of the recruitment exercise that took place in the Upper East region. A clear picture of what happened there as well, so you have an idea. This is what happened in the Upper East region. All of them seated there on the floor, waiting for their turn. And the modification of this recruitment exercise, because they're exposed to the sun, the weather, and all of them, those who cannot endure this process as well, having to be at the mercy of the weather. So, Nana, it clearly reflects the concern that you raise about what has to be the case or the focus going forward. And maybe in a minute, at least there's that agreement across the table or across all of you today that the military's explanation that this stampede was unexpected, it cannot suffice. Questions should be asked. But what should be the low-hanging fruits that we should address because of this situation? In a minute, please, Anna.
Well, I would want we must institutionalize the way we are moving forward with control, crowd management, or mass gathering. And in order to institutionalize this so that it doesn't happen, maybe today it happened with a recruitment process, tomorrow it's going to happen with a concert. Let's have protocol guidelines that will govern, mass gatherings. So what will be the capacity that we'll be expecting? What are the requirements for crowd marshals? What are the requirements for medics to be on site? What are the public safety or law enforcement requirements? We must have all these things in place so that it will apply, whether it's a church gathering, crusade, whether it is recruitment, whether it is musical concert. These must apply so that before you move in and gather crowds, you have all these things in place to ensure that we do not have such incidents occurring. Okay.
Nana, Dr. Nana Akwada, thank you so much for joining us. He is the Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety. The minority in Parliament also issued a statement, came through not too long ago, said they are profoundly grieved by the tragic loss of 6 young Ghanaians and the injuries sustained by several others this morning at the Elwak Sports Stadium. During the Ghana Armed Forces recruitment exercise, these young people came with hope and patriotic zeal to serve their nation. They deserve protection, not peril. A stampede that claims 6 lives at a routine recruitment event is unacceptable. In all the years of the military security service recruitment in this country, we have never witnessed such a catastrophic failure of crowd control and safety planning. They are demanding a number of things, including an investigation into this, and then also questions. First, that this investigation be truly independent, thorough, and time-bound, with its findings made public within 14 days. They've put a timeline to the period of the investigation. They say they want to hear the details of the investigation within 14 days. The families of the deceased and the nation deserve transparency, not bureaucratic opacity. Also, second, that immediate interim measures be implemented to halt all recruitment exercises until adequate crowd management protocols, emergency response systems, and venue safety standards are verifiably in place. And they also talk about that those found responsible for this preventable loss of life, whether through negligence, poor planning, or inadequate supervision, face appropriate sanctions. But coming up next, we'll get to matters relating to illegal mining, because we do know there's a crackdown on illegal mining activities across the country. We'll show you a clear picture of what happened earlier today. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7. A joint police-military team launched a dawn operation in Dajing in the Ashanti region to arrest suspects believed to be behind the November 6 attack on members of the Environmental Protection Agency, that's the EPA task force, and some journalists, if you recall. This was about a week ago. Now, 5 journalists were injured after a thug of illegal miners chased them out of the Adanse enclave. So that's what you're seeing on the screen there. Oh, take a listen to this. Just take a listen to exactly what happened.
Service and the army combined. Destination Dajing.
Wait, no, wait. Be a phone now, Hey, get up, come. Get up! Yes,
This is where a thug of illegal miners attacked the executive director.
And the crackdown, in fact, we're going to show you some more videos as well. Engineer Dr. Kenashigbe leads the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. He's joining us on Zoom. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Alfred.
Perfect. Now, we've seen this dawn swoop, the crackdown as a result of what happened last week. And then also the information we're getting, this was not the only operation. In fact, there are quite a number of them across the country between yesterday and today. How should this momentum be sustained so it doesn't become a flash in the pan?
Well, thank you very much. I saw the press release from the military talking about the fact that there was going to be a joint team going into some of these places to arrest those who are involved in it. And for me, I think that that is what we expected. The military tends to be our, the last resort that we have. And so when we get these organized criminals who are leading this Galamsey and environmental crimes, be able to attack our military and the state does not respond, it would leave the state being very weak. And what it would just do is that it would embolden other people to get involved in this dastardly act. So for me, it is good that we are getting this joint operation going and everybody should be flashed out. And I will appeal to citizens, Ghanaians, that if you know of anybody who was involved in this criminal activity, please, give the information and let them be arrested. And it's important that once these arrests are made, we see what the next thing is beyond it. And so I am happy that this particular operation is happening. And I'm also happy, especially that they're doing it by the law. And, there was information that also had gone out. And I'm hoping that the intelligence community is also helping them so that we'll be able to pick all of these people out. And we need to make, everybody know what has happened to them so that no community again would dare think that they could get involved in these things and get away with it.
I see. Now, one of the major issues with the NIMOS is the lack of the logistics required and then also the resources needed. The budget is going to be read tomorrow. What do you expect?
Well, again, so that's one of the things that some of us have been, who have been following up since we had that meeting with His Excellency the President, has been the resources that are required by those we have put in place to be able to fight this. And there's some minimum, resources that are required in terms of vehicles, in terms of accoutrement, for these men and women to be able to do this. So we are hoping that with this catastrophe that is staring us in the face, the NIMOS team would be properly resourced. The EPA as well. If you saw some of the vehicles that were involved in the accident when this thing happened, this is not the kind of crisis that we're confronting with, the kind of war that is being, waged from within. This is not the kind of vehicles that you expect to be used. So I will be hoping that the Minister for Finance would, allocate some significant amount of money for 2026. That will be in the budget. But even in the interim, for November and December, it is important because you notice that the plans that the NIMOS commander gave when we met at the Jubilee House with His Excellency the President was to set permanent bases in some of these places. And we have not seen NIMOS do that, and I'm pretty sure it's because the resources that are required to set up the permanent bases might not have been given. So we really appeal to the Minister for Finance and His Excellency the President to provide resources now, and then also make sure that in the budget, the resources are actually allocated to make sure that we can deal with this. And as some of us have been saying, the window, the opportunity that we have to fight this is between now and next year. Afterwards, when the NDC starts clamoring to replace His Excellency the President, as we have seen before in the past, if you're not careful, all of this, will grind to a halt. So this is the window we have to be able to fight this, and we should fight it decisively.
Thank you so much for joining us.
But Alfred, there's another component that we are not seeing, and which I think it's important that we also bring up.
Right.
So we've seen NIMOS do all of this arrests. There's several arrests that have been made, confiscations that have been made, but we're not hearing the police prosecution and the AG brief us on where we have gotten to. What has happened to all of these people that have been arrested? Recently, we've seen there's a kingpin that has been arrested as well. What is happening to them? Has the person been taken to court? So it is important that the police, prosecutors, and the Attorney General give us updates in terms of what has happened to these people who have been arrested. Even the contaminating issues, we don't know what is happening to it. We're concerned. We need to ask the Attorney General concerned. We need to ask the Attorney General. We need to ask the IGP and the police prosecutors to be able to give us an update in terms of all the arrests that NIMOS has